Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Help Action Needed, a D&D podcast. My name is Sean Hardy, and I shall be the DM for our adventure today, and I would like to reintroduce the cast. So, Kate, go ahead.
Hello, I am Kate Pizarchik-Johnson, and I play Nori.
I'm Dan Johnson, and I play Cass.
I am Julie Perez, and I play Frog.
Nice. So yeah, we're going to have a little bit longer of an intro today to recap all of the events of Salana before we move on to wherever our players would like to go next. For the last couple of weeks, you all have been in the city of Salana. You entered and met a friend named Zaya, who wanted you all to go to a concert, showed you around the town, and took you to the concert of the High Bard Julian, in which you all were invited to the engagement party that night in Dolly's stead, with Frog being granted the showbox for her seat. And then Frog became friends with Julian at the party, as well as friends with Dion throughout the time, and you all invited to stay at the castle after finding out that High Cleric Tig had been deaded. No one knew exactly what happened, but he died, and they needed to go address that issue. You all then took a week to kind of just get around the city, Nori going to steal some books from the library and learn about the Twilight Domain and the clerics of it, learning that they used to be not in abundance, but weren't uncommon pre-war, and then disappeared during the war, mostly because they were of different races that had longevity, such as elves, who could take time to understand change and process and moving through things on a longer scale. And as the elves left the land, so did the Tempest Domain. The Twilight Domain, it would appear. Nori also took some time to meet with Titania, her god, and ask some questions, and was directed towards Amy Katonic before getting a magic hammer. Cass went and sat with Randolph Carter and learned about warlock powers and stuff, communing with his patron and learning that there is a dual patron trying to either bring things to the world or prevent them from coming, and that the lantern he carries seems to be the key to two sealed temples. And Frog, trying to ever stalk down Jarl's Bellman, spent a lot of the week, to little avail, finding Jarl's Bellman and trying to gather information, but also gathering more fame for her name, as she grew as a bard herself by attending Julian's concerts, performing with him, practicing together before rising to stardom. After that, you all hung out with Dion and Julian a lot, and it got kinda sad, because it wasn't a great time for anyone. You also went and talked to Amy Katonic, who told you all a lot of fun things. She wasn't scary, nothing weird is happening. But she did let you know that it appeared impossible to scry on Lady Cassiopeia Galilee and the new High Cleric James Whitmore. You all then went back, reported your findings, and went to Jarl's Bellman for the first time, finding out that he was not a bad guy, just a bad guy, and then entering into his dreams to see what mind block spell had been placed there, in which Nori successfully removed the Modify Memory spell, and you all found out that the church, the new High Cleric, was threatening to kill the old High Cleric, and that was kind of spooky. So you all went, told Dion and Julian, and they asked you to investigate, and you are now on your way out of Salana as you make your way towards the city of the Most Holy, Alara. What would you like to do?
Maybe just make our way to the general area, because we're gonna pass by those two very lovely men that I may or may not have said some things that insinuated that they should be off the face of this planet.
Yes,
and
that would be Seth and Alto.
They're I'm trying to figure out the word, like, animate, right? So I can, like, touch them, and that sounds weird, but I could, like, give them a pat in the back or, like, a handshake. Yeah. On our way there, since we're going to pass them, I want to try and pick as many wildflowers as possible and make them a little bouquet and an apology to them.
Yeah. Go ahead and make me... Oh, yeah, go ahead, Frog.
I was going to say, They eat, right? Or are they like
Yeah,
dead?
they're living humans.
Okay. Can we? I don't know. What time of day is it? Are we leaving in the morning?
It's like, yeah, you all would have finished up a long rest and then headed out.
Okay. Can I bring them some like croissants or something from like a bakery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, and what was I'll roll the thing in a minute. What was the attendant's name who was assisting us while we were staying at the
Clark.
Yeah.
Clark? Can I ask Clark to maybe get us some croissants, of course, and maybe some whatever like delicate things that are normally decadence, the it starts with a D. Whatever, like the really special desserts from where we know that both of them are from.
Delicacies.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
While this back and forth is happening,
Mhm.
Cass is just standing there, just looking at this rambling, knowing full well we already discussed in the house. Do we have everything? And now that we're at the gate to the town, everyone's like, well, hold on. So Cass is just sort of biding time, not trying to get irritated.
Yeah, you all take an extra hour to find anything you forgot about, and as you were making plans, and Frog and Nori were like, "Oh, and this, and this, and this," you all take an extra hour before leaving the city to gather anything you may have wanted to gather before heading out on your way. Nori, for the bouquet you'll be putting together, can you make me a nature or survival check to find some of the best looking wildflowers? And for anyone that may be new to the show or just simply doesn't remember, the people in question here, our friends, are Seth and Alto, two brothers that they found on the path north to Salana, who seem to be not cursed, but not cursed, with immortality through some sort of dealings of Gemini, the Blood Pair, an ancient archfey goddess who blessed them at the moment of someone's death on the battlefield.
I rolled a 22 for survival.
Yeah, what's this bouquet look like? You find everything you want. What does it look like?
I don't really know flower names. So, what they're going to have some daisies and then some peonies, and they're going to they're going to be nori colors. So whatever color not whatever color. I know what color I am. So they're going to be blues and some whites, and then I'm going to ask. So I'll look over at Cass and say, Cass, can you make these little bulbous flowers gray for me?
Cass is just gonna look at her for a real long second, because this bouquet is just enormously big. It's just outlandishly large, and just sort of point two fingers at the little bulbs she's asking, and they'll turn a sort of dull grayish color. Sort of an odd color for flowers, but Cass ignores it and just keeps walking.
So yeah, they'll be very vivacious and large and filled with lots of greens and beautiful, and an extra acorn. An extra pine cone. I apologize.
Mhm.
That's silver, and I'll make sure that there's two of them or both of them.
Nice, yeah. Frog or Cass, are you doing anything on the walk down other than assisting Nori in this search?
No, Cass will just sort of be paying attention to what's around, but as Nori is wrapping up the bouquet, Cass will cast prestidigitation one more time and just give the bouquet a very nice scent of the field of flowers that the guys live in at all times, just so it does smell like she picked them from around the area.
Yeah. Yeah, so you all head south, and for the listeners that wouldn't know the world as well, they're heading down south, down a path they traveled north to get here, and then we'll be heading east. So they're just kind of doing a little bit of backtracking. And yeah, it doesn't take very long. You walk through the fields of the farmland, which now the crops are growing in a bit more. You would remember there are some animated scarecrows that seem to be doing sentry duty around here. You don't see any of them right now. You're unsure if it's because someone has taken care of them, they're somewhere else, or simply they're not seen. But you move through the grain and farmlands surrounding the city of Salana itself before making it down to their cabin, which is just slightly off the beaten path. And you can see them again. They have a self-training battlefield set up outside of their house, where Seth and Alto can just kind of command each other and teleport around the field, move each other around, and kind of work as a one-man army, well, a two-man army in this case. What would you like to do as you approach?
Frog will be waving really big from the distance and just kind of look at them and get excited and be like, look, we're almost there.
Are you trying to get their attention with your wave?
Yeah.
Okay.
But not in a scary we need help way and yay.
Yeah, they're too busy training. They don't catch you out of the corner of your eye.
Rude. Well, after noticing that they did not see, Frog kind of is like, huh, they're training pretty hard, and then puts a little thought in her head to ask one of them to help her train with her scythe that she is not proficient in.
When did you get a sight?
Oh, isn't that what I have?
What, you mean your scimitar?
Oh yeah, that's what I meant.
Nori will hang in the back and be a little bit sullen, kind of trying to think about what she's going to say as an apology to both of these men, as she hangs back behind Frog and Cass.
Just to really drive it home as we're getting closer, Cass is going to turn around and walk backwards and just do the point at my eyes to Nori and then point to her and be like, now, we're not going to say anything dumb or about anyone killing themselves, correct? And then just sort of laugh and make sure she knows that I'm joking, but continue on the way up and sort of scan the area just to see if anything notable has changed here in the past week or two since we've been here.
Yeah. For the immediate area, there's not much of a change. It's now it's 2 weeks later, so anything that naturally would be growing would be there. So a lot of the flowers would be approaching just the height of their bloom, probably starting to fade off. Felfay flowers grow all year, but do have cycles where the magic of the fairy blood can maintain them. So these ones are just starting to get to the height of their bloom, and then they will wither away for a couple of days before coming back. But there's no immediate eye-catching difference. As you get closer though, and Frog, as you're especially waving, Alto looks over and you can see that he has caught your eye. He again is very tall, very muscular, standing slightly over 6 feet tall with his very dark almond skin. And he sees you all coming over and puts his giant sword down and waves over and looks back and kind of waves to you. Not sure if you're planning to come closer to the cabin off the road or if you're planning just to wave. What would you all do?
I start to walk in towards the house, I guess.
Okay. Nori, would you be going first with your bouquets, or are you maybe bringing up the back of the party?
No, I'm going to continue bringing up the rear of the party and kind of let Frog and Cass have any conversations or introductions again first, and then I will talk with both of them.
Okay. Yeah. So then, Frog, lead the way up.
Okay. Frog will head up the path, I guess, to where they are and be like, we brought you something, and hold out the croissants for them to take.
Oh, well, that is mighty kind of you. May we do you need something in return? May we ask if there's something that we can do, or is it simply just a moment of friendship shared between people who have met before?
Okay. No, Frog will explain that they're headed back out east, so they were on the path anyway and thought that they would bring them just something nice
Nori, following what Frog had just said, will step forward and will hold out the 2 bouquets and say, Steph and Alto, I am so sorry that I insinuated that I think you should die. I didn't mean it that way. I'm not very good with people interaction quite yet. And so I just wanted to make these and say that I'm really sorry and you should really stick around and you seem like really great people. And I hope you accept my apology with some bouquets. If not, that's also okay too.
And while this whole apology is happening, Cass is just like in the back casting prestidigitation. Like there's a big gust of wind blowing petals up. There's dancing lights around her head that she does not see. It's just out of her peripherals. And he's just having a time.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna have anyone roll for this, but now I am. Cass, roll performance, and then based on how that do, Nori, we might need you to make a persuasion check.
Said performance?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. 23.
Yeah. Nori, you don't even realize how moving your speech is as, like, full background to, like, an anime moment or, like, full final boss from any From Software game. Beautiful white petals of the Fellflay flowers are just flying up around you, swirling above your head, like, just moving in it. As you delivered this apology and your moment of regret that you've clearly carried with you for like 2 weeks now. Like, it clearly has meant a lot that you would remember it and come back to address it. You see Seth in his like sanguine appearance walking up, kind of smiles, nods his head to you and like accepts one of the bouquets. And then Alto will like graciously accept the other one. And they're like, oh, well, thank you very much, Miss Noria. As we said then, we are quite used to strange conversation and took no offense to your statement, but it is nice to know that it is something that someone thought of us, and that you have come to apologize, maybe not for a regret, but for a moment that we shared, and now that can be thought upon with a fond memory.
Well, I greatly appreciate you accepting my apology. And then Nori will try and look behind her to see what Cass's reaction to the apology was, to see if like she's done a good job and she's starting to get more of this human thing down.
And as she starts turning around, like much like a conductor, Cass just sort of like cuts it, everything stops, and he's just standing there with a thumbs up, be like, good job.
Yeah, so they accept your apology, very happy. Is there anything you want to ask them or anything you want to do? Did you want to like spend some time with them, or was this just a moment for you all to kind of like reconcile Nori's actions from a few weeks prior?
I think on our way we would have chatted as a party about what we now know about that one thingy, the Gemini, the blood pair. So maybe we can ask them a little bit more about it and see if they have any input.
Yeah. What would you like to ask?
I'm the one that found out about it.
Yeah.
Can you remind me what I found out about it?
Not much, honestly. It was that Titania told you that like she appeared to be back and moving and seemed not scared of her, but more intimidated, simply through the fact that like Titania's been queen of the fairies for a while. Gemini was like around before that. And then when you asked Amy about her, she kind of alluded to the fact that like Amy exists at the end of time and space, and Gemini exists outside of time and space. So they're not ones that really ever interact, but it seemed to be that the that Cassiopeia and that James Whitmore seemed to be trying to find a way to commune with her.
Gotcha. Okay. So I think I would just ask them in general if they knew anything about Gemini and kind of like the circumstances that they're under, aside from how they generally know how they got here and kind of got into their being, or if anything in their experience, if they know anything about old magic or old beings, because that's kind of what I'm assuming she is. Unless I could roll a history check and potentially know more?
You've rolled a couple history checks on it. I don't think you'd get anything else out of it right now. And also, they unfortunately don't have much either. Alta will say, before we met you the first time, really, all we knew was that my brother fell and we woke up, and that was really all. Since we had our now notorious interaction, and you and Miss Frogena here let us know your theory and your thesis on the creation of our situation, it has not been something that we have really found a resource to investigate, as it is not something that has been well documented in any sort of journals, and we were just trained foot soldiermen before the war ended. We were brothers from a rather poor town. It's not like we have a great education, but we can definitely try and find some the next time we're in a town. I think, though, if you really want to know more, and you yourself probably would be the easiest one to get there and figure this out, I think the best information you would find would be in your home plane of the Feywild, where your people have records dating back far longer than this reality seems to have existed, and you process time much differently. It sounds like that may be the best place to understand the history of this particular archfey.
That's a good point. One other question. Have you ever seen Gemini or felt their presence around a certain time? Felt like the pairing between both of you is stronger at a certain time of the year, of the day? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. No, I don't think, and you can see that Alta looks to Seth, and like they have a telepathic moment where like they're talking. Again, like Seth has no way of communicating other than through their telekinetic bond. No, we don't believe so. It sort of feels the most natural when we work together, sort of like you have seen us train as you walked up. The moments when we can move in creation together are when we feel the most connected and most natural, but it's not any certain time of year, and I'm not confident I could say it's because of the magic bonding us together, or if it's the pair we have as brothers and people who have trained our entire lives, of which I could not confidently say.
Sure, that makes sense. And then Nori will look to Frog and Cass to see if they had any other questions that kind of popped up.
Cass will look up, sort of just taking a break. And because in most of these situations, Cass will just sort of be taking notes as to what's happening, just so we have a record of exactly what's going on. But he'll just nod his head and sort of let Nori continue the conversation.
Mm-hmm. And Frog?
Frog is just gonna kind of hang back, and then maybe once Nori's done, she'll be like, "Hey, can I do a little practice training with you guys?" And see if we have time for that.
Yeah, yes, if you would like to join us for a practice training, you are more than welcome. We have such a nice laid out bouquet of flowers and pastries. It would be a shame if it went to waste. Perhaps you all, I imagine, had to walk several hours to get here. Perhaps we could have a momentary picnic where we could all share in the pastry together, and we could get in a little bit of training if that is something you wish to do.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's just roll, like, it would probably be against Alto. I think Seth would sit and have a couple snacks with Nori and Cass. And let's just roll make 3 attack rolls, and let's see how you do.
Okay. Like with my weapon?
Yeah, with the weapon you're trying to train up on. I'll let you know. Elto's armor class is 18 when he's not, like when he's willing to be hit. His armor class is 18.
Okay. Well, that definitely failed. Yeah,
Okay.
7.
On all 3 of them, you got a 7, or?
No, just the first one.
Okay. And then the second one?
Second one was 4.
And the third one?
Third one is 19.
Okay. Yeah, so the first one, you kind of just like swing wildly. Like it is very clear that you are not confident in this. So Elto will give you a couple of pointers. Like, the first thing you need to focus on is that your blade is moving with your arm. If you try and move solely from the wrist, you will not get anywhere because you'll be moving it too far away. Try again with like pointing and then thrusting where I am and seeing if that works easier. You try again, and it does not work. He's still standing there, and you just like miss wildly. He's like, okay. Second bit of advice would be, well, look at where you're hoping to aim. If you are looking too much around and not focusing, you will not have any real target for what you're trying to find, and you will not get any sort of leverage or anything like that. So maybe try again with a bit more focus and take a moment to let your mind calm down. And you try again, and like you go and like you just barely hit his chest, and it's like, good. Now let's try some when I'm moving. Let's see how that is. Go ahead and just roll like 3 more. Now his armor class would be up to 22.
Okay. Well, that wasn't great. 11.
Okay.
6.
Okay.
Ooh, and a nat 20 plus 2.
Okay, yeah. So same thing, like, he starts moving, not a lot, like, he's not actively trying to get out of the way or anything, but just, like, moves, like, slightly to the left, like, you swipe down to the left, he takes a step to the right, you swipe down to the right, he takes a step to the left, and he's just like, focus not on where I am when you swipe, but where you imagine I would go as a reaction to your thing, because if you're always stabbing where a person's at, no one will stand in the way of your blade. Always try and get to where they should be. And on the third one, you really take that into account. And like you go to swipe to the right and you imagine he'll go left to avoid. So the last second you like turn your arm in and hit him on the side and he goes, well, do you think Frog would be doing any damage?
No.
Yeah, I didn't imagine either. I just wanted to give you the chance to hurt him if you wanted to be a bad person.
No.
He's like, yeah, that was quite good. Good, let's do one more chance. Let's see how well you can avoid now. And he's gonna pick up his great sword, and he doesn't even need to like take several rounds. He just gets to make 3 attacks in a round.
Okay.
So the first one, what's Frog's armor class?
12, because I wouldn't have cast mage armor for this. So.
Yep. And he has a +6 to attack.
Oof.
The first one's a dirty 20. Comes down. He stops before hitting you, but like comes down very clearly would have like cut into your shoulder and like probably sliced you in half. He's like, similar to trying to hit, move out of the way as the blade that's coming towards you. Second attack. Oh, that one misses. It's only a 4, which brings it to a 10. What does it look like, Frog, as you apply move out of the way tactic?
Frog is gonna take it like completely over the top, and instead of standing there and not doing anything, she's literally just gonna like launch herself and like somersault like 10 feet away.
Make me a acrobatics check.
Okay. I'm good at those. 23.
Yeah, that was damn impressive. Nice job. And then the third attack also misses. He rolled a 3, which only brings it up to a 9. And on this one, I think he would, like, probably just from the same spot, thrust up, and as you land, you take your scimitar and learn to, like, block with it. And yeah, we can say you, at least for now, have, like, a base proficiency in your weapon. That would be probably around the same time that Seth and Seth, Nori, and Cass would be finishing up some of the pastries and having their little picnic. But if there's anything else you all would like to do, let me know. Otherwise, you can stay with them or bring them with you if you want. But I think it's now probably like midday, like shortly after noon, and you all would be knowing you should get heading on your way if you wanted to like make it to a good camp spot before dark.
I feel like it would be cool if they could tag along, but I don't think that they actually would be like of any like help right now, if that makes any sense. Like, we're not necessarily going to Mary's Rise.
Yeah, Mary's Rise is the town Frog's family is originally from. Alara is where Cassiopeia currently is. She is still also the Lord of Mary's Rise due to her role in the uprising.
Okay.
And then the other town that's out east that you all would know is Twin Falls, which is a town that, like, there's not a lot known about it. It's just kind of like a town that exists out there that's to the north of Alara.
Okay, so we're not actually going to Alara to fight someone initially. We could always call upon them if we need them, because between Frog and I, we both have sending, I think. So we can always ask them, like, if we need you, would you mind if we call upon you? Say in a week's time. And then that could work. I just don't want to, like, waste their time and potentially harm them if they become a part of our party.
Yeah, they would respond, well, yes, we are more than happy to be called upon in that way if needed. Just a reminder that if we are needed in the moment, we would need about 2 days to get there, so you couldn't necessarily call upon us in the moment, but if you were planning violence for whatever reason and gave advanced notice, we would happily do our best to attend. And even if you want, we know the area more than most people. If you just need an escort through the marshlands as you're heading out east, we wouldn't be against giving you an escort.
Maybe the escort would be a good idea. If you guys just want to tag along for a little adventure, we can have some extra fun time. And I think Frog has couple extra croissants that, Clark gave us. So why not? Just, make it a fun adventure.
You're sort of seeing the situation unfolding. Cass will just sort of chime in. Will the cabin be okay if you're gone? It seems like you're the only two that are here. I just don't want anything to happen while you're away.
Yes, the cabin should be fine. We have lived here for a while, and I don't remember if we told you this or not the last we met, but there have been people who have tried to come for us in the past, and we have lived through each one, and the cabin will be fine. And if something does happen to it, it's only a homestead. We can rebuild.
Well, the company is always appreciated, so if you're willing to escort us, we will gladly take it, but if something does happen to the cabin while you're away because of us, please let us know and we will do what we can to help.
Oh, gladly. Yeah, and you can see that, like, Seth, who's been sitting next to you, kind of, like, perks up and seems a little excited that, like, he gets to be going somewhere. Like, they enjoy each other's company and they like doing what they do, but it's been a while since they've, like, left for anywhere. It's like, they seem excited that he gets to join people and go somewhere, and yeah, cool.
As we start, I'm assuming, heading out, Frog is just gonna be, like, rubbing her chin and being like, planning violence. We're good at that. Thinking about Cassiopeia.
Alto rolled a 3 on his insight check. Seth rolled a 17. You just, none of you hear it, and none of you see it either, but in, like, a very short moment, Alto says, planning violence. Frog has, like, an immediate, like, reaction that she can't disguise. Seth does, Alto doesn't notice. Seth does, tells his brother about it, and he goes, maybe planning violence is not something. Maybe it's not the wording I should have used, and does not read into it anymore. But you can tell that they have clocked your reaction. Yeah. Cool. You all are free to head out. From here, it would be about like another like 6 hours of the day that you all comfortably travel, and then like the next day would get you to Alara. The east side of the country is much smaller than the west side of the country, because there's so much in the ocean out there. You have the Crescent Isles, you have Morendo. There's a lot of like harbor ports and stuff out there that make up the land, but the actual like not constitutional, the continental part of the land is much smaller to the east than it is to the west. So it's not as big as a trek to get there. And as you start heading, passing the fields where you can tell the battles have been fought, not only from the like amount of flowers on them, but also from the there's just parts of the earth that are still scorched. There are parts of the earth that still have like large cracks in them. You can tell that this was an active battlefield for a large amount of time. And you eventually come to a forest, but it's not like a full forest. It's especially Cass, you grew up with your hometown being near the Druids' forests. It's nothing as big as that. This is like a smaller woodsy area. And as you're approaching the far off ocean at this point, the ground is starting to get more sandy and more boggy, and you can tell like this is like a lot of just like ground that preserves. It's getting cooler. And as you're walking through, there's like a lot of, not darkness, but like dim light from the canopies above. And you enter into like a shaded, boggy forest. Can you all make a perception or nature check for me, please?
$23.
21. That's the wrong.
15.
Okay. And were they perception or nature?
Mine was nature.
Mine was perception.
Nature.
Okay. So Nori, you look around trying to just like see what is going on or anything like that. And you can tell just by like the way you look around that this path has like, it's clearly traversable. It has people that like travel through it, and there is like a road running through the main road you're following. But it's much smaller than the roads that you've been walking along. This does not appear to be like this sort of like highway that a lot of cars would be going on, or not cars, a lot of like carriages or horses or walking would be going on. This seems to be like a much smaller road. You could assume it's because the only people that really need to be using it are the people getting to the Holy City, and most of them would be doing it on foot and could even just be leaving from Salana and going directly there overland, or they could be taking like different modes of transportation to get there. And the other place that would be easiest to get to there from here is Mary's Rise, which, as you all know, not a lot of people are going to. So it makes sense. You have the impression that you would not be finding any sort of like people along this path that would be like, it's not an ambush path. It's not an unsafe area. You have the feeling that you'd be pretty safe on here from a like humanistic side. The other two of you, especially Frog, putting your nature things together, would be looking around and noticing that due to the lack of people, that it's much more wild than any path you've treaded already. And again, Cass, it's not like the manicured forest that the Druids occupy. This is like a real like wild woodland. So you know that there are lots of areas that animals could be hiding. You know that a lot of the like ground it's not quicksand, but it's like that sort of thing that if you get stuck in it, it might take a lot of effort to get your foot out of it. It's also the type of like land that if something falls into it, it probably would take a long time to decay. So if you wanted to just do some exploration, you could try digging through and seeing if you could find any relics of the war that have been stuck in these bogs for a couple of years or so. And you have a feeling that the main thing you'd want to be looking out for are animals. Different things that might call this area their home, and might be waiting for a moment, especially if you all are to sleep in the woods at night, to maybe ambush in the way an ambush predator would do.
Well, that's rude.
Sort of being familiar with the woods, not not particularly this type, but the woods in general. Cass will walk more towards the front of the group, just sort of keeping an eye out for things he's used to, knowing that what he's used to may not be what's normal around these parts, but also he'll stick out his hand and the ring that he has will start to glow, and a blue little squirrel will pop up on his shoulder again, just sort of staying around. And which of the two brothers was the one that was excited to sort of be going somewhere?
Seth, the one that's like can't talk, has a little not blood, but not blood aura around him.
And sort of seeing like Quizzle, as we're just proceeding, will sort of jump from like my shoulder to the tree canopy and like sort of go like mess around with Seth in like a playful way, not to like bother him, but like sort of to provide entertainment as we're walking.
Oh, okay. Well, responding to what Cass was doing, Nori will try and sit like towards the back, but not completely in the back, and be jotting stuff like in her notebook about her conversation with Steph and Alto, and talking about the flowers and how they made a good impression and how she should try and make more flower bouquets for different occasions for later.
Nice.
And then
Frog.
another, random question before Frog. Did we one of the potions? They weren't of animal handling, correct?
I don't believe any of the potions are one of animal handling, no.
And the one thing, as we're sort of making our way through, Cass will keep an eye out for any tree that is notably larger than the others, like that sort of sticks out from the canopy a little bit more than the rest of them do, just to see if we can get a vantage point of the area. And if we do, Quizzle will climb up.
Nice. Yeah. And Frog?
Frog's gonna be kind of doing the same thing. Cass is like looking out for creatures or animals or anything, kind of maybe moving a little bit off the path to kind of see a little bit further into the foresty areas.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, so I think then in order of things you would catch, I think, Cass, you would notice that there aren't a lot of like towering trees here. Most of the trees would come to about like 10 or 11 feet. There's not huge evergreens or anything that would like be fully obscuring a canopy with like giant oaks or anything. These are like mid-sized tall trees, but there are a few that like are healthier looking that seem to like tower above. So if you wanted to send Quizzle up there, you could. And then Frog, as you're looking off into like the smaller things, you would see just a lot of like small animals. You'd see a lot of like squirrels that are living. You would see probably a decent amount of bugs just living their little bug lives. And as you got further in to like the more watery areas, you'd probably find like a couple of like wet ponds where a bunch of like frogs and a bunch of other like amphibious creatures would be hopping around. There's nothing currently that you would see as a danger, but you do find a bunch of like small creatures just living on the ground.
I would definitely go check that out. And probably find the best frog of them all.
Okay.
Besides herself. And start croaking at it, like making froggy noises to be its friend. Which, according to her actor's feat, she can do very well. I'm able to mimic the sounds of a frog as long as
I'm going to check the wording of the actor feat.
as long as I've heard it before.
No, I think that Frog should be able to imitate a frog.
I will. The specific wording is when you're passing yourself off as a different person, but technically you are trying to pretend you're a frog to get more frog attention. So yeah, go ahead and make a...
Hold on, I'm gonna cast guidance by touching Frog on the back, trying to like see her get in the bard mode of a performance for the frogs. Be like, you go, Frog, and tap her on the back and ask guidance.
Okay.
Yeah. Go to make a
Go ahead and
performance
make
check.
Performance. Okay, and I have advantage on performance.
You do.
Was it 18 plus 4? 22.
Yeah. You all watch as Frog miraculously just starts croaking at the wilderness. I think you would all notice Alto definitely pause. Not in any concerned way, but in a like, is this normal way? And Seth would also take pause, but more in a curious way of like, the fuck? Like, they're not judging, but they're not aware of how you all typically interact. They haven't been around people for about 60 years, other than people that like just stop by for help or just mistrust them based on their connection. So they're not aware if Frog's antics are typical of modern society or not, but it's definitely a strange introduction.
I'm so glad that that's their first experience
Yes.
in a while.
As a, like, size of, like, a large melon, 5-pound frog just, like, emerges from under the bog and hops over to you and looks up in a way. Make an insight check.
This is sounding like bait. Can we make it a glow toad? What insight?
Insight, yeah.
Ow, I rolled a 19 plus 2, 21.
You see something in this frog's eyes that whatever you said was clearly very moving to this frog, and it needed to find the source of the source of whoever was singing this, like, huge frog statement of peace and world kindness to frogs. What do you do in the moment?
I make eye contact with it for a hot second and just kind of stare at it like, oh, I was not expecting this, and then try to croak something else at it.
Okay, make another performance check.
Nat 20. Plus 4.
Okay.
Is that right?
What are you trying to communicate to the frog?
I am trying to ask the frog if he enjoys adventure and would like to be my friend.
Okay. Yeah, on a nat 20 frog check, I think you all see as just like a bit of Frog's innate arcane ability. Like, Frog's a wizard. They don't have a lot of, like, magic of themselves. But just the sheer chaos that drives Frog every day is the source of, like, her cantrips and her innate understanding. You see that come out in her words very similar to the way that, like, a bard would use their speech and their song to make magic happen. And in a strangely bardic way for Frog, seems to, like, not cast speak with animals, but, like, some sort of relationship is connected that this frog responds in common and goes, "Oh, I am King Frog. I love adventure. Are you here to save the frog people?"
The frog people?
At night, the frogs go missing, and we have been waiting for our savior to come and save the frog people.
Frog is just gonna, like, silently stare and be like, her head going 1 million miles per hour, be like, am I the savior? I am ready to save the frogs. That was why I was named Frog. And then just be like, yes?
That's what we were saying?
And only Frog is hearing this, right? Like,
No. This frog is talking to all of you.
And hearing this frog talk, Gaz is just gonna, like, from the back, just, like, smack his chest, and, like, Mage Armor's gonna come up knowing some weird shit's probably gonna start happening.
Ori would have been, after casting guidance on Frog, would have been, like, taking some notes about Frog's performance in her journal, and once hearing the actual frog talk, she's just gonna go wide mouth, gasp, and drop her notebook. And just continue to be in awe of this conversation going on between two frogs.
Yeah, and Elto out loud, like, not even, like, so stunned, does not communicate back telepathically. No, brother, this is not normal of frog. Did we accidentally enter the Feywild? We didn't, right? Like we are still on the material plane. I don't know how this happened. I'm sorry. I also do not know. Would you like me to ask? Like, just has forgotten because, like, why would he need to have any sort of way to communicate that needs with others? And you hear a one-sided, two-sided conversation, just baffled as Frog continues to communicate. And Frog, what is it you say after you like go through? You must be the savior. What is it you say?
I said, yes, I am the savior.
Well, that is good. We have been waiting for our savior for many moons. At night, the shadow cats come and eat our frog kin, and we need someone to prevent the cats because the frog people must live on in froggy goodness.
After hearing the term froggy goodness, Frog is just like, yes, of course, the froggy goodness. And then we'll be like, how long have you been here?
About 2 weeks. Frogs don't live very long.
Good. Okay.
I, as King Frog, am about 5 weeks old. But the other frogs, we've been here about 2 weeks.
This just made that so much more anticlimactic. Amazing. Okay. Frog is now in her head being like, yes, I have been the chosen one for 2 weeks. And then is going
these
to...
specific frogs, like generations of frogs have come before. It's just these specific frogs.
I suppose. Okay. Okay. Frog will then say to King Frog, we will help you. However, we cannot stay very long. And then we'll turn to my friends and be like, can we stay for 1 night? We must help the frogs.
What time of day is it?
It would be around like 4, so you would probably have been planning to like go a couple more hours in before like making a camp, but you could take an early rest like and then in the morning either get up early or the next day just get to town like later than intended. It wouldn't take you too far out of your plan to like set up camp now instead of going a couple more distances and a couple more hours.
Having a stronger pull towards nature, just being a fae, Nori would have started to tear up after the Frog King said he's only been alive for 5 weeks. And we'll say, yes, of course we have to stay, right, Cass? Like looking at him, kind of nudging him, wanting to make sure that the emphasis is clear that we have to help these frogs.
Cass is completely oblivious after this frog started talking. Like, he's recalled Quizzle to his shoulder and has like an Eldritch Blast finger gun pointed at him, be like, can you talk? Have you been able to talk this whole time? And Quizzle's just looking like wide-eyed, like what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Cass will turn to Nori and be like, we have no urgent timeline to get anywhere. Like, if we want to stop early, I'm sure we can. But I would suggest we start setting up camp now, because the canopy, it's going to get darker in here than it will out in the open.
You would also know that you are like currently in the middle of like a boggy area, so you'd need to find somewhere dry enough that you don't sink overnight.
I guess we have to ask Steph and Arlo as well if they're okay with stopping.
How do you get every character's name wrong?
What? Seth and Alto.
Oh,
You said Steph and Arlo.
Steph, Alto.
Yes.
We should ask them. They would like to stay and help us as well.
Yeah. I mean, we're happy to escort, and also, we want to now know, 1, what the Shadow Cats are, but 2, what the Frog King needs of us. Were the croissants laced? Did we perhaps ingest something?
Frog will just be like, we don't drug people, but we also didn't know that frogs could talk, so I think we're all in the same boat here.
The Frog King goes, oh, I also did not know frogs could talk. this is the first time I've been able to talk to somebody, and it works out so well that you seem kind and willing to aid the frog people.
Okay.
Cool. Alto steps forward and asks the Frog King, Can you tell us a bit more about the shadow cats you speak of? If we are to be defending you, I think it would be most pertinent for us to know exactly what we're defending you from. And the Frog King responds, "Oh, yes, well, at night, when we are all sitting on our lily pads singing our frog songs, it attracts certain shadowy cats that appear to come in and out of nowhere, and they're there in one moment, and then they're gone in the next, and then they're there again with the frog in their mouth, and then they are gone, and one of our lead frog tenors gets eaten, and we're not able to finish our frog songs, and we need to train up a new lead tenor by the next day for frog song round 2, and it's been very sad as we have not finished our frog songs in a while. So we would very much appreciate, and also it's good that the frogs don't die, but we would very much like to make it through a night of the concert if you would not mind."
I desperately want to hear these frog songs now.
And
So,
all 4 of you, 5 of you, Kasef and Elder both get to make one. Make a nature or survival check for me, please. Okay.
this is really not how I expected this session to go.
See. Kate, Nori actually gets it with advantage.
Nature or what?
Survival.
That's a 24.
Dirty 20.
Okay.
16.
Nice. Both the brothers failed. And then the others of you, Nori especially, would remember back to a couple months ago when your journey started, the blink dogs you had to fight, and how these probably are the natural enemy of the blink dogs, which would be displacer beasts, which are large panther-like creatures that have several barbed tails that are able to move between planes and teleport quickly around. You have a feeling that they might be who's coming to eat the frogs when the frog concert starts. Nori, on that super high survival, and Cassier's was high as well, you would know that they move best at night when they're unseen, and that while they are quite dexterous, the main thing comes in their ability to take people out quickly. That if they were to attack, you would want to not get hit. You'd want to take them down before they took you out. I don't know if you would have any ideas of adjusting the terrain before that after you set up camp, but if there was some way you wanted to try and prepare for the Shadow Cat Displacer Bee attack, you could try. We just ask that you don't interrupt the frog stage, because we put a lot of work into sculpting it out of lily pads, and we like the look of it, and we ask that you don't destroy the frog stage, please.
We will try our best.
Thank you.
Do we have any access to an additional light source? We don't have anything on our persons, correct? Aside from a spell?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think you have the light cantrip. And then a couple, you'd all have torches and stuff that you could light. But yeah, you don't have any, and then Cass of course has his lantern, but you all don't have any sources of big light. You could start a forest fire.
Maybe we should not do that. I'll ask 2 friends who are with us if they have any sources of light.
They don't.
Okay. I do have it. Oh. I will make sure that I look for a firefly before we start.
Yeah, you'd be able to easily grab a firefly out of the sky and use it to cast light if you wanted to.
Okay. So I'm going to cast light as a cantrip right before we feel like we're going to either get attacked or we'll attack.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I don't need the components, I would like to still catch a firefly just for experience. For ignoring yourself.
Yeah. Very nice. Cool. We will then allow the time to pass. You all find a safe spot to camp, especially on those survival checks we got earlier. You all have surveyed the land in a good way. And you have all kind of gathered. I'd imagine you'd be positioned around the little pond that these frogs are in, probably all at different points. Or do you think you'd all be standing close together?
Cass would, just based on his experience in forest, Cass would probably be in a tree, not on a branch super high, but gain a little bit better vantage point.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine.
Probably far away in different areas.
So you all are standing, the four of you, in different positions around the pond. Seth and Alto, as always, are close to each other, so they together take 1 point, but the other three of you can take the other three sides of this pond. And as the frogs start singing their song, little croak, 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 frog song, croak, 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 frogs. They start singing that, and you see 4 displacer beasts coming out of the woods to try and interrupt the concert. Can you all roll initiative, please?
6.
10.
11.
Okay. So it'll go the brothers. Cool. So for you all to know when you're going, it'll be the brothers followed by Frog, followed by Cass, followed by Nori. Is the order, with the displacer beasts presumably acting somewhere in there. You all would be if we're just putting compass points, who would be north, south, east, and west?
Can we tell where they're coming in, or we don't get that detail yet?
You all set yourselves up beforehand, so you wouldn't know where they'd be coming from.
Okay.
Frog would try to be closest to the point where the lily pad stage is.
That'd be at the south end of the pond, kind of right where you were
that's
at.
where Frog will be.
Okay.
Nori will take the east side.
Okay.
Cass would be opposite Frog.
Okay. And then that puts the brothers on the other side. Nice. You all set yourselves up very nicely. For as the frog song starts, for Nori, you hear the leaves rustling behind you, and Seth and Alto hear the same on their sides. They actually act before anything else happens, so they wouldn't have the beasts next to them yet. So they're actually going to hold their turn for the first, for when that displacer beast would come within range, which is the next thing that happens. So they're holding their turn, but then immediately go as the beast gets close. So they're going to make attacks on the friend. 16, that hits. Okay. So you see that they step forward. They wait for the moment that a displacer beast steps into action, and Seth makes a large attack with his greatsword and swings wide, as it seems like one of the two beasts here is non-corporeal. So you would imagine that one of them must be an illusion of some kind, and then Alto quickly goes for the other, landing a hit. Seth tries to catch the illusion back on the back end, but as he has not been fast enough to move to the other, misses. But so you see that Seth is able to go through and deal quite a considerable bit of damage in just one single hit to this displacer beast. It is now the displacer beast's turn, and it is going to go right back for them. They just attacked. They're going to try and hit him. The displacer beast does not understand how they work as humans who are tied together. And so it's going to try and hit the armor class of 22. It's a miss. You see a hit. The two tails go for each of them. The tail going for Seth, missing as he knew which one of the beasts was real and which one was an illusion. Alto, still thrown off a little, standing in the way of the illusory double, gets hit and takes a little bit of damage. He seems to shake it off. It's not too big of a deal to him. Cool. Frog, you're up next.
Okay.
This pond is only 30 feet across, so you can get wherever you need to
Okay,
with your
awesome.
spells. It's a small pond.
The two thingies, are they close together or far apart?
There's one to the east by Nori and one to the west
Okay.
by the brothers.
I will try to get the one on the east over by to the east over by Nori. I'm gonna try using Burning Hands, so I would like to position myself in a way that I will not accidentally murder Nori. Okay.
Yep, you can do that.
Okay. And then 10. Okay. 7 damage.
7 damage, okay. It doesn't seem to do that much. You don't think it's because they have any resistance, it's just they seem to like have known how to move out of the way. But they take the damage, yeah. Cass, you're up next.
So there's one to the east, one to the west. I'm to the south. How much distance is
You're
between?
to the north.
Oh, sorry, north. Yes.
And like across the pond from your northern point to Frog's southern point is only 30 feet. So
Okay,
everything
so I
is
can get to
pretty
either
narrow.
side realistically.
Yeah.
Seeing that the two brothers are looking fine at this point, I'm not super concerned. I will jump down from the tree
Mhm.
while using my bonus action to. Yeah, I'll use my bonus action to cast Shillelagh on myself, and I'll take out my quarterstaff.
Mhm.
And then I'll approach the one that is opposite the brothers. I believe that's the west, right?
Yep, it'd be the one next to Nori on the west.
Okay. I will go and get pretty much like within 5 feet of it. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to be stealthy at this point and cast. I believe I'll cast Booming Blade,
Okay.
which I'll use my obviously my quarterstaff that I already have out. Okay, so that is a nat 1. That misses.
Yeah, you not even confused by which one's an illusory double and which one's real. You just simply miss.
Yeah, Cass isn't even going to turn around to the group. She's just going to swing wildly and just like sort of keep sauntering that way a little bit.
Yeah. Fun. And then actually, Nori, you are up right after Cass.
Okay. With my how far away is the one hat away from me?
It'd be like right behind you.
Okay. I will go ahead and as my bonus action cast spiritual weapon at 3rd level.
Okay.
Cantrip. I will go ahead. I will do a cantrip then, and I will cast Toll the Dead on the creature. Sorry, on the cat behind.
Yeah. Wiz save from the cat, correct?
Correct.
That is a 15. What is your spell save?
16.
Yeah, so go ahead and roll damage.
Okay, and we are 5th level, correct?
You are 5th level, so you get to roll the double dice for it. And it has not yet taken damage, so it'll just be the 2d8, not the 2d12.
Okay, so it is 2 8s.
Nice, so 16.
Sorry.
Nice. Yeah, no, you're good. You're good. Yeah, that seemed like it did not enjoy that at all. It looked very hurt by that. You also have your spiritual weapon out if you want to make your bonus action attack with it.
So yeah, I will go ahead and attack.
Yep. It's at disadvantage, just so you know.
Okay, perfect. Ow. That was lovely. That one is 11.
11. Nice. Yeah, this cat is looking bad. It's not looking good. It is in a bad state. Yeah, and just do anything
to that. Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
So it's 17.
Even better. There. Nice. That brings us to the cat that's directly in front of the two of you, and it's just gonna use a tentacle attack on each of you. Its tails like reach up with like the sharp barbs and try and slam into each of you. What are your armor classes? Cassie will be the warlock die. Kate, you'll be the pumpkin die.
I'm 18.
I am 15.
Okay. Nori, you are not hit. Cass, you are, and you will take 10 points of damage, 7 of them as it slashes across you, and then 3 of them as that barb just kind of like pulls into your skin on the way out. And Seth and Alto are up next. They are not enjoying this cat that's nomming on them, and they're going to roll. That is a hit. You see Alto once again step up and try and hit the illusory one before going, I know I'm missing, and then move closer and hit the actual cat, and then Seth steps up and hits the actual cat as well, and together the two of them will do... you see the two of them go, and in like their coordinated attack that you've seen them train so many times, drop this cat by half its health. It is that cat's turn, and it is gonna go for each of them. That is a miss on Seth, and a miss on Alto. Again, in their coordinated abilities, like they have just learned, now that they're like back into doing what they're doing and they know which one to go for, they will like go in, hit, and then just like immediately appear in the other spot as though like they used magic to teleport between them, and the cat does not know what to do as it tries to strike the other. It swaps in the moment, and both of the tentacles go right through in that like small moment when they're not in either plane of reality, just appearing on the other side, and do not get hit. That is Frog. Back around to you.
Okay, Frog will go ahead and go after the same one as before, the one by Nori. With Witch Bolt. So
Okay.
let me let it roll.
Yep, a disadvantage
Yes.
roll.
Okay, so the first one was 22. Second one is better, so I just go with the 22 then.
You take the 22. Yep, which hits.
And then that's gonna be 2d12. Oh yeah, by the way, I meant to say I'm gonna cast it at second level. 8 plus 4, 12.
Yeah. You see a crackling beam of light connect with this cat as just an electric tether is tying Frog to it. And for those of you standing close, you just smell the like burning singe of cat hair as it starts to not melt, but it starts to like burn up a little in front of you. That brings us around to the frogs. You hear the frog song continuing on unhindered. They go, frog song, we are frogs singing our frog song. And then it goes on to Cass.
Cass is just sort of like bouncing up and down to like the frog singing as Frog is cooking a cat on the other side of the battlefield.
Mhm.
And seeing this, Cass is going to be like, oh, I can do that. And he will also cast Witch Bolt at the one next to him. 22 to hit.
Yep, that hits.
Okay. And that is for, 27.
Yeah. You, very similar to how the brothers took a large chunk out in a coordinated attack, you just fire off your like patron's magic at this problem, and a large percentage of its health falls away. Anything else you want to do?
I don't think so. No, that'll be it.
Cool. Nori.
In Nori's turn, I'll go ahead and take my spiritual weapons.
Mhm.
So that would be at disadvantage, still a 24 to hit.
That hits, yep.
And then, excuse me, spiritual weapon. Dun, dun, dun. 14.
Yeah, what does it look like as your silver pine cone ends this displacer beast?
The silver pine cone is gonna go straight through the center of its eyes, and then you'll just watch as the cat just poofs out of existence.
Yeah. So at the crackling sound of lightning and the smell of meat cooking, a silver pine cone comes down, hits straight through the head, and through the combined power of Casanori, these two beasts, the Shadow and the real one, fall to the ground dead. That takes us over. Oh, do you have anything else you want to do? You still have your action, I guess.
I'll move in the general vicinity.
Okay, so you're just gonna kind of like go around the pond to get to them.
Yeah.
Would you be going north to where Cass was from, or south towards Frog?
South towards Frog.
Okay, cool. Yeah, you move south towards Frog. It is the brothers' turn. I'm actually gonna get rid of the disadvantage here because Frog, you have a lightning bolt tethered to the real cat. Like, they know which one is the real one. So I'm gonna get rid of the disadvantage. Yeah, with a clear tether to where it is, you can see the training that they've done come in once again, as within a matter of seconds, 3 coordinated attacks go off. Just like a great sword stabbed through by Seth, Alto jumps over, grabs it, pulls it out the other side, packs it back off to his brother who stabs it up, and this cat is dead. Like, within a second, it has dropped to the ground. And we have no more enemies, so Frog, it would be your turn if there's anything you want to do.
No.
So then the next thing that happens is the frogs continue their frog song, and they go, "We are frogs singing frog song. Today we elect our frog king." And you see that the frog king passes like a little bit of light goes out of Frog King into another frog, who just like grows slightly in size. Original Frog King doesn't sink at all, like doesn't shrink, but there's now another like 5-pound large melon-sized frog that's croaking, and the original Frog King goes, "Oh, we have completed frog song. I am now retired, and I no longer need to be king of the frogs. I thank you for this gift."
Nori, you'll just see in the background, she'll just be clapping.
And roughly how big is the Frog King? Either the new one or the old one, just roughly how big?
They're both about the size of like a cantaloupe.
Okay.
Yeah.
While the performance is going on, Cass is just going to take out his little hand axe and just cut a piece of this fur off of this thing and just roughly make like a little cape for the Frog King that's like held together with 2 of the teeth from the thing, and just sort of like drape it over the new Frog King.
Yeah. The new Frog King looks up and goes, "Croak."
He doesn't know how to speak.
No. And old Frog King goes, "Oh, my frog brethren expresses great kindness for your actions in helping symbolize the coronation of new Frog. Well, you mentioned a life of adventure earlier, and now that I am retired and no longer needed, if you would have me, I would gladly join you on your adventures."
Frog is very visibly excited and is like, "Yes, please, please, we would love to have you."
Cool. And with that, we will wrap up today's session. Thank you everyone for playing. Thank you audience for listening. And you can find us and interact with us all over the place. We are Help Action Needed on Instagram and Threads, as well as helpactionneeded@gmail.com, where you can reach out to us. We've gotten several fun communications, and we love to get them every time. So thank you for doing that, and please continue. Yeah, so that is that. I got the outro done. Yeah. So again, thank you players for playing. Thank you audience for listening, and goodbye.
We have to learn the frog's name.